This conference will now be recorded.
Excellent. Can't forget to hit the record button. So welcome everybody to the Titusville Area Chamber of Commerce April virtual luncheon. Sorry I couldn't deliver lunch to each and every one of you. But you know, got to be creative in these times. So appreciate everybody joining us. So just so that you know, I will be muting everyone as they come into the room and ask that you keep yourself muted during the presentations just to make sure that the audio is as clear as possible for everyone who's participating. If you have questions as we go along, if you would please use the chat feature contained within GoToMeeting. Questions or comments can be directed there, and we'll keep an eye on that and bring those forward. Let's see. You heard the meeting is being recorded so that we have the ability to share it with folks who may not have been able to join us today. And then the one major deviation from our program that you would normally experience at our luncheons is we normally recognize outstanding young adults at all of our luncheons. And this would be the last month for us to recognize our seniors who have done such great jobs this year. But obviously, because school is not in session and they're all working virtually, we're not able to do that. So I just want to give a shout out to those students. We will schedule when we're able to reconvene it in person. We will reschedule their presentation so they get the recognition that they so deserve. But we will not be doing outstanding young adults today, although a couple of them may be on the call with us. Just to listen in on what's going on. And I do want to thank our sponsors of that program, which is Community Credit Union and Just Parish Medical Foundation, even though we're not able to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing that I would like to do before we get to our main program is I would like to start with our sponsor presentations. And we are so grateful to our sponsors who have helped us convert and come to an online setting to be able to present content to you still. And so I'm going to start with AT&T and Dan Pollock, and they are a partner of the Chambers and sponsor all of our luncheon series. So Dan, I will unmute you and you can take it away. Maybe you have to unmute yourself.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Well, now that we've all made our way through the food line and gotten a delicious lunch, first of all, I hope everyone is doing well, obviously, during these trying times. I've been on more of these video meetings than I ever thought that I would be, these video chats, but they are definitely nice to hear some voices, and in a lot of cases see a lot of familiar faces that we're not getting to see. Many of you, many folks in my territory, I've been emailing updates from AT&T periodically. I know we're getting a lot of COVID-19 emails from all kinds of organizations, and it's a lot to keep up with, but just a couple of highlights from some of our response. A lot of things the company's doing I'm quite proud of, including a $10 million national fund to things like the Khan Learning Academy, to organizations that specialize in K through 12 distance learning that a lot of the school districts can take advantage of. Last week, I believe it was $5.5 million to feeding first responders and teaming up with organizations like WC Kitchen and a bunch of organizations, 3 or 4 different organizations nationwide to help out the first responders. Even locally, for me in Orlando, in my 7-county territory, we're working on a $25,000 grant for Orlando Health and for PPE and even helping some of their folks with their childcare. Locally, and may not affect anyone on this call that would be a member of the chamber, but you may know people, or some of you in the nonprofit world have constituencies and are electeds on the phone. I've already seen this from you by email, but the access to AT&T program, which is the low income broadband service for $10 a month, for if you qualify for that, if anyone in the household is on SNAP or free and reduced school lunches or any of those type of programs, you would qualify. And if you're in an AT&T wireline area where you get AT&T internet, which Brevard is in, you would qualify for what would normally be the low income $10 a month. But if you sign up, it's free, which would help a lot of the kids who are home and may not have connectivity at home. Anyway, there's a bunch of things that that we're doing, and all of our men and women on the front lines, keeping the network, wireless and wireline networks going. We reduced our AT&T stores and closed all but a handful in different neighborhoods here and there, because they are considered critical infrastructure. But at the same time, we have to balance keeping the employees safe. And within those stores, we are practicing social distancing and 6-foot rule and all that stuff. Anyway, if anyone has any questions, please reach out to me. And if you don't have my number, you can get it from Marcia. And I'll be happy to help out with anything you need AT&T. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dan. All right. Moving right along, I think I saw Lindsay Phillips, who is the Director of External Affairs for Devereaux. Lindsay, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Thank you, Marcia. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I just am grateful for the opportunity today. I'm thankful for you and the Chamber for continuing to have this luncheon today. And thankful for the legislators that are here with us today. Personally, I'm thankful for all legislators and their service, but especially those that are with us today who do such an effective job representing our district. On behalf of the children and families we serve at Devereaux, I have to give particular thanks to Coach P. His commitment to the needs of children, including those with unique needs such as autism and related disabilities. And I will take this moment to remind everybody that this is Autism Awareness Month. Got my blue on, but it's Coach P's approach, his nonpartisan approach to policy that really gets results, including representing the families that we serve and bringing resources that would not otherwise be possible without his leadership. So I thanks to each of you. You all do a wonderful job representing our district, and thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Glad you were able to join us. And next, I'm going to turn it over to Nona Veazey with the Parish Medical Center Auxiliary, if I can get down here and quickly make her the presenter because she has some information to share. So Nona, if you want to unmute yourself and take it away. We can't hear you, Nona. You have to unmute your microphone.
Oh, this new technology, I tell you, I just love new experiences. It's a good thing we all adapt to change so well. I am the president of the Parish Medical Center Auxiliary, and I have to say, I so appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit about a wonderful group of individuals that's serving our health system. Health system that's certainly in the news right now, working hard. And I speak for every auxilian out there. If we could be there by their side, helping, we would be there. But when the coast is clear, we'll be back. All right. My slide's not moving. Oh, there we go. Just to give you a little bit of an overview, we are over 60 years old, established in 1959. Did have our name changed with the health system back in 1990. We do have and did get our nonprofit status for the purposes of fundraising and donations in 2014. Our focus primarily now is in collaboration with our great Just Parish Medical Foundation. So we're both working collaboratively with philanthropic efforts, fundraising, donate, and scholarships that we let every year about this time. We certainly embrace the Parish Medical Center vision, and we do that through volunteerism, educational scholarships, and fundraising efforts. The mission, of course, parallels the Parish Health Center, Medical Center, and its health partners out there, which we're engaged in many. And we do that in volunteering in non-direct patient care roles. Collaborating again with the foundation for scholarships and for meeting the funding grants from Parish Medical Center for services, equipment that they need additional funding for. Who we are today, we're 282 unique individuals from every walk of life and all ages that volunteer for the health system. Last year, we logged 38,000 hours of service to the health, the medical center and the health partners. We have students, we have adults, we have men and women, so it's open to everyone. One of our primary goals is our fundraising, which is our Pink Lady gift shop, which is located inside the medical center. It currently is closed, but we will have a gala grand opening again, hopefully soon. And it's a wonderful place for gifts for not just hospital-bound patients, but unique home gifts and gifts for others, jewelry, and they have great sales there too. We also do fundraising through external fundraising events. We have vendors come in, and we also participate with local hospital or local restaurants for dinner out programs. And then traditionally, we have our breakfast with Santa, where we have anywhere from 600 to 800 children bring their families for breakfast and to visit with Santa. These pictures are just some of the activities and some of the volunteers that work with us. We serve a lot of different areas, and of course, the large print are the main areas, the more traditional areas, but we do also offer a lot of services to all of our health partners, the Cancer Center, the Children's Center, Port St. John's, the Fitness Center, Titus Landing. So we're all over the health system, engaging and providing some support services. We we augment services that are there. We don't take people's jobs, but if there's back office or if there's greeting or if there's moving patients, that's what we're there for. And we're also there to help create a positive experience for all of the patients, and we like to think we contributed to that greatly with our smiles and friendly nature. And then we also, lastly, work beyond our walls. We do participate in community events. This is one of my favorite pictures of my three wise men, three of our male volunteers that I had the opportunity to walk in the MIMS parade with. We had a hoot of a good time and met a lot of people and shared a lot of candy. But I'm walking behind the truck, taking these three weary wise men back to their cars. The medical scholarship funding, we reach out to our local schools. A lot of those individuals that get scholarships are also volunteers within our program. And we support foundation events. We support LEAP, which is a developmental program. We have LEAP students come in and get volunteer time for doing tasks. And we welcome any external speaking. We're always looking for opportunities to share who we are, look for sponsors for events, look for volunteers. And it's easy to be a volunteer. It takes filling out an application, getting a uniform, committing 50 hours a year, and paying your $5 dues. So keep us in mind. I'd love to come speak to your businesses, your organizations, and talk a little bit more about who we are and the services that we do perform. It's a great way to give back to your community. Thanks, Marsha.
Thanks, Donna. Appreciate it. All right, so I want to thank our sponsors definitely for their continued support, not only of the Chamber, but in particular of this program, and appreciate them working with us through this transition to online format. So we're going to start with our main presentation. And so basically, just very quickly, I am absolutely thrilled that we have the opportunity to have Senator Tom Wright, Representative Renee Placencia, and Representative Tyler Soroy together with us today. First of all, thank you guys so very much. I know that there's a million things on your plate right now. And I'm just so grateful that you agreed to do this flip with us and still make yourself available to our membership and to our community for updates. I'm really interested in trying to stay on as much about in general session what was covered and what happened and how it could benefit Brevard, the wins, the goods and the bads. But I know that some of this is going to transition and we're going to talk about state response to the coronavirus pandemic. But we're going to start with opening comments from each of the three gentlemen, and then we'll move to a series of questions. If we don't cover the information, I may pop in with some questions. And then, of course, as the presentation goes on, if you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat window. And so I'm going to turn the presenter capabilities over to Eli from Senator Wright's office and recognize him to go ahead and get started. So in just a second, Eli, if you want to set your...
It should be working.
Let's see. Can you guys
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect.
Beautiful. So Senator, we will give you the floor and let you give us your opening comments.
Good afternoon, Marcia. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, great. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me.
Oop, we lost you. Senator, can you hear us?
I can.
There we go. You're back.
Okay. So I'm not sure where we started, but I wanted to just thank you for having this luncheon today. This keeps me away from the refrigerator here in the home office. And so that's going to do me a world of good in the long run. So thank you for that. You're correct. We have taken the obligation on with our staff to have our phones forwarded to our various cell phones. And we're answering calls live during this time. And we are getting emails by the hundreds each day. You know, with an average senator having somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 plus constituents, you can imagine the volume that we're getting looking for assistance and looking for help. So it seems like session was years ago at this point, even though it was probably only a little over a month ago since we came back to our district and dove right into this coronavirus situation. So anyway, as your senator here for Southern Volusia, Northern Brevard, I'm proud to be that senator. I'm here to do whatever we need to do to help our constituents. At this time, we're really focused on the coronavirus, and I'm looking forward to discussing with all of my colleagues, Representative Soroy, he always appreciates me nominating him as a senator, and Representative Placencia, and any of the people that are listening in today from the chamber to try and tell you all the good things that happened in session. I'm very proud of what happened in session this year, and I think that everyone that's joining us today is also going to be very proud of what's happened for Brevard County. So with that, thank you very much for having me, and I'll be here for you as we move along through this webinar.
Okay. Do you have any key points that you want to cover at this point related to your work in the Senate before we move over to Representative Placencia? I know that you've got a couple of slides, so I don't know if you want to share those now.
Yes,
Go.
let's do that. Yep, let's do that. So, oh, hey, there's me. All right, how about that? Well, one of the things that we feel very strongly about generally is that we feel the legislature is committed to protecting our businesses. And as you know, I'm a business owner and have been a business person for 44 years. So it's very important to me to make sure that we keep things local, that we keep things in control in our communities, and that we find ways to support our local businesses. So that was my focus this particular session, which it'll be every session that I'm involved. We recognize that the local businesses, one of the things that everyone's probably going to talk about is the Zukowski Fund. You know, we're desperately in need of affordable housing. It's we've just got such a big divide. You either can afford housing or you can't, and there doesn't seem to be any middle room. And this particular session, we were able to put the money in the Zukowski Fund and protect it, so it'll be there after we get out of this situation. It'll be there for our communities to apply for and to do great things with our funding. Do we have any more slides you want to bring up?
Elijah's running the show there.
Sure. Yeah, so Space Florida was a bill that I worked with Representative Soroy. Space Florida, of course, has done a superior job of taking care of what was sitting idle in Brevard, all the Nassau property there. The last time I was told by Frank DeBella, we only had maybe 3 parcels, small parcels that weren't already leased on 50-year leases. So, you know, they deserve a great round of applause from all of us. But one of the things that was throttling them back is that the way the structure was originally set up, they had to get the permission of the Speaker of the House, they had to get the permission of the Senate President, they had to get permission of the governor and the entire cabinet in order to move forward on funding for any particular project, which really was slowing them down. And most of the people that we just mentioned were saying, why are we even being bothered with this? We appointed these folks, we trust these folks, let them move forward. And so we structured together with Representative Soroy, and he did a lot of the structuring. He knows how to do that. A bill that made it all the way through that allows Space Florida to make their decisions, do the right thing, and at the same time, the state of Florida and Space Florida is not co-signing. They're not on the hook for anything. So I want everyone to know that there's no possibility that the state of Florida or Space Florida is going to be bailing somebody out should there be a problem down the road. This is all just money that'll be from private funding, from bank funding, from government funding, federally to provide for a business. But so that was an exciting thing for us to get that done, and I think that will allow us to continue to grow. You know, some of the other things that we worked on is our education program with the ASVAT program to allow our schools to be able to credit the students for being in the ASVAT program. Probably in years gone by, if people were joining the ROTC or something similar, they were looked upon as being unusual students, if you will. And today, our strong love and support for our military has allowed our ASVAT program to grow. And we have more and more students that are wanting to be in those ROTC programs. And this will give them the credits that they deserve for what they're doing. And it gives them a sense of pride in a way to improve their life down the road. Another thing that we did this year too is we made it easier for military families. You know, they move about our country a lot. They're ordered to be here, they're ordered to be there. And this allows them to be able to come in advance of the time that they move, determine what school is best for their child if they have a child in school, and allow them to make those decisions in advance. So when they do actually move, they'll be able to just move, the child's in school, and to make it as easy as possible for them to transition. So the last one that I wanted to bring up right now is something that's been very important to me also. As you know, I have been the chairman. I'm not sure what chairs we'll have next year. We have a new president coming into the Senate, but as chairman of Military Veterans and Space Committee, we want to do all we can do for our deserving veterans. And we had an issue where if you were, say, 25% disabled from combat related, you could take that information to your local tax assessor, and you would get a 25% discount on your property taxes. 50% disabled, 50%, 100%, 100%. But when the veteran passed, the surviving spouse, assuming there's a surviving spouse, would not be able to enjoy that discount. And it forced some of the surviving spouses to have to sell their homes because they couldn't afford the increase in taxes. So we passed a bill this year with flying colors, 100% yeses, that allows the surviving spouse to be able to continue to enjoy that discount until that spouse either passes or remarries. So I think that's going to, that's a good thing. That's a good way of showing our love and affection and appreciation for our veterans. So that's a little bit of some of the things that were exciting that I feel is important for you all to note this morning or this afternoon.
Great. Thank you, Senator. I appreciated the opportunity to actually sit in on your committee meeting when I was up there related to the Space Florida initiative. And so appreciate the great work that you're doing. All right, we are now
Absolutely. It's important.
Yes, thank you. We're now going to move, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Coach P. Coach P, are you there?
I am. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just great. So take it away.
So I want to thank you guys as well for hosting this. It keeps me away from the refrigerator as well, although it is lunchtime, so I will be eating right after this. But interesting times we're living through now, and happy that most of us are heeding the warnings and staying put and not moving around very much, so that we can get through this with the least amount of adversity to our lives and our families. So this past session was an interesting session, and there was a lot that we got accomplished and a lot we were able to do for Brevard County and for the state of Florida. The first thing I want to talk about is some funding that I've gotten for the second year in a row for the EDC in their Manufacturing Talent Pipeline program. It's a great program where they train adults for some of our manufacturing jobs here in North Brevard County. It's has an 85% success rate as far as being able to pair the students who are adults with companies and get them a job right after the training. We're also able to get almost $200,000 for adults with disabilities in Brevard County. And then we had a number of other appropriations projects that we got one in for Devereaux as well. It was a program over in Orange County, but we had a number of others as well. One of the things I did want to talk about as far as policy is the speaker's priority, which we've been working on, and I've personally been working on for the last 5 years as a member of the Health Quality Subcommittee, and that's allowing for nurse practitioners in a primary care setting to practice independently without the direct supervision or supervisory protocol of a physician. And it's a huge win for the state of Florida. It's a huge win for access and affordability to healthcare. And I was very proud to be able to work with the speaker and with our other chairs on this great policy. Some of the other policy that I work on, I always have something that's autism related, and this year was not any different. We were trying to solve some of the issues that we saw happening here in our communities, and in Brevard County being one of them. Even though our Brevard County School Board took the initiative early on and found a solution to the problem here in Brevard County, and that problem was that registered behavior technicians weren't being allowed to go into a classroom and provide therapy for our students on the autism spectrum. Brevard County was able to, Brevard County's school board members were able to find a solution to that, but there's other school districts that weren't allowing for that to happen, and that's why we asked for a statewide mandate on that. Second part of that bill was eliminating, adding the exemption of a licensure exemption for a medical clinic for an autism center. Not to go too much into the weeds, but had we not been able to accomplish that, a great majority of our autism centers around the state would have had to have closed down because they couldn't meet the requirement and couldn't afford to pay for a physician to sit as a medical director of their facility. And so that was a great bill that we were working on, and we were able to get half that bill passed into law. The interesting thing that happened this session for me was I had a pretty small bill that dealt with what's called AP Capstone. It's a curriculum program through College Board that some of our schools utilize. It's very similar to IB, very similar to ACE, but because of the newness to this program, it doesn't get funded the same way that the AP and IB get funded. And so we filed the bill to allow for parity in the funding and it was traveling through, and it kind of got stalled. And in the last week of session, it became the vehicle for the governor's priority of teacher pay. So increasing the base teacher salary to a state average of $47,500 for all teachers. And so I was able to, that bill, or that priority was amended to my bill, and I was able to present that on the last day of session in the House, on the House floor. And so it was an exciting bill to be a part of. I had worked on that bill a little bit early on during committee weeks with our education appropriation staff. Being a former teacher, I wanted to make sure that much of what was happening that I could have some input on. So I was proud to be able to work on that as well. But other than that, just working with our delegation, both our 2 senators and our 3 additional House members, both Representative Soroy, Altman, and Representative Fine, to make sure that, you know, we're fighting for more money in the budget for water quality, specifically for the Indian River Lagoon, and for all things that are important to Brevard County residents.
Thanks, Coach P. We are very, very fortunate to have really amazing representation, particularly for the north part of the district. Not if I can be a little bit biased, but we love all of our Brevard delegation. But in particular, I'm so proud of the folks that represent North Brevard and the hard work that they do every day on behalf of the citizens of this area. So I lost Tyler in my list, but I'm hoping that he called back in. Tyler, are you there? Tyler, can you hear me? All right, well, I'm working with his staff. I'm chatting with his staff to try to get him reconnected. So we will continue on, and once we get Tyler back on, something must have happened and he dropped off the call. We will go back to him in just a minute. Oh, I just got a note from Angelique that said she ended up getting dropped off too. So they're trying to get themselves back in. So we'll see what happens. So speaking of business, I'm going to throw this one out. I'll start with Coach P at this point and let him answer first, and then we'll go to the senator. But how do you feel the Florida business community fared during session in general?
So every year in the state of Florida, every year that I've been in the Florida legislature, we've had a very keen focus on the Florida business community, whether it be reducing the business rent tax incrementally from year to year to make sure that we're providing tax relief to our businesses, making sure we're the least tax business state in the country. This year was no different. We had a pretty strong tax package. Unfortunately, there's a possibility that if we do have to come back, that there's going to be some major cuts, and we're not sure where those will take place. Hopefully, we can get the time that we're in right now, we can get through it quickly so we can have the least amount of damage to our economy and our state's economy. But you know, we are focused on making sure that we are deregulating where it's appropriate. This year was no different. We were able to get a pretty massive deregulation bill across the finish line finally. You know, I chair workforce and tourist development. I think one of the biggest things that we did this year was we were able to reauthorize Visit Florida for an additional 3 years, not just the 1 year that we got last year, but now we can breathe a little bit easier as far as marketing one of our state's largest economic drivers, which is tourism. And we're going to need it now more than ever. And Visit Florida is going to play a pivotal role in making sure that we get the message out to the rest of the world that we're open for business, and our beaches and our theme parks and every aspect of our state is open for business. So I think we did a great job this year for our business community.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach P. Tyler, are you back on? I got a note that said you're back with us. Are you here? Tyler? Oop, trying. Tyler, did you make it back on? Okay, I just got a note, an update that wherever he's at right now, there's a issue with the carrier, and so he's not able to dial in. So we're going to proceed on. So Senator, if he's able to join us again, he'll let us know. But Senator, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add specifically about Florida business community in general related to session? Got to unmute yourself.
There I go. I'm
There-
unmuted now.
There you are.
All right, thank you so much. Boy, oh boy. Hey, you know, one of the things that we really had a lot of input in during session was this little thing called short-term rentals. We had a lot of input on short-term rentals, and that kind of went by the wayside. So I imagine we'll be hearing about it again. But that was something that a lot of people were pushing for local control. And we were hoping to find a way to be able to help local control and take some of that weight off their backs. But that was one of the things that I think we'll probably see again this next session. But I'm hoping that a lot of people have found that no change for right now is good change. And that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up. Otherwise, I've kind of already gone over. There's a lot of things that have gone on. Coach P has covered it very, very nicely. He covered the points that were involved, and I know you'll be asking some other questions, and I'll have some additional answers for you for things that are good that happened for Brevard this session.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and talk about anything specific to Brevard? Any specific wins that should be mentioned specifically for Brevard? I know you talked a little bit about Space Florida. Coach P talked a little bit about lagoon funding, et cetera. But is there anything from your perspective that you think needs to be highlighted with respect to Brevard County?
Okay, well, one of the things that I'm always excited about doing, just as Coach P is very involved with autistic children, and we have a lot of need in our communities for various situations, and we were able to once again find funding for the Brevard Achievement Center, which really makes my heart feel good. We got them another $199,714. That's the number that they asked for. That's the number that we got approved. I'm not sure why it's such an odd number, but if they're listening, maybe if they ask for 200, we might get them 200,000 and make it an even 200,000 next time. But you know, they deserve every dollar that we can get for them. It's very important. One of the things that we did in our office this past year, there seems to be a tradition that I've learned about only 2 years now in the Senate, that before we get into session, sometimes we exchange some gifts amongst everyone. So knowing that the area there is kind of known as the shark capital of the world, we had, I don't know if we can see them, we had these made by the Brevard Achievement Center, and
Nice.
Everybody, 160 of these I bought. I paid for these. 160 of these are made, each one hand painted, and on the back side is the initials of the person that made it. So a lot of pride for the folks at the Brevard Achievement Center, and it was a great thing for us to be able to give out to everyone in both the House and the Senate.
Awesome.
So another thing that we were able to do, and I kind of teased them a little bit last year, the Astronaut High School folks wanted to have a pretty good sized chunk of money to develop a welding center and a welding class. And we were able to, with Tyler Soroy, to get that money for that new welding building and program. And the thing that I teased them about is they came back this year and said, you know, we forgot to add in for the welders themselves. So we are actually able to get them another $100,000 in state funding so they can buy welders to put in the classroom so that they can teach welding. And last but not least, if some of you are aware of the Merritt High School program, they have what's called a Stang Station program. And what that is they make a little tiny satellite. It's probably 5 inches by 5 inches cubed. And they've actually got 2 of them up in space that sends back information to those kids. They are so ecstatic. And so $10,000 for another satellite, and we're able to provide them the funding. Those satellites, when they're ready to go, actually are piggybacked at no charge on something else that's leaving the Cape. And that's how they get up into orbit. So it was really exciting for us to see that. I've been there and watched these young people, all of these staying stations, and it's just amazing what they do. So those are just some of the things that I think are important for the North Brevard area.
All right, thanks. Coach, how about you? I know you got lots to mention, I'm sure. Are you there? Coach P? Did I lose Coach P too? That's not good. Let's see what happens. Coach P, are you there? Hey, guess what, Senator? We're going to roll on until we get Coach P back, because he's disappeared all of a sudden too.
It could be that the two of them snuck out to lunch. What do you think?
Since I didn't provide lunch, they decided that was it, huh?
Yeah.
How about things that you would hope to have completed, have gotten done,
Yeah.
or have seen past this session that did not happen?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I really personally plan on ramping up again next year that I thought were going to make it to the finish line. And one was called the PBMs. The PBM programs, we have three pharmacy management organizations that predominantly handle everything that goes on here in Florida. And these PBMs really giving, especially our independent pharmacists, a rough time, making it very difficult for our independent pharmacists to even stay in business. And I can't allow that to continue. And the other thing that people don't know about the PBMs is 2 of the 3 PBMs are actually owned by the large pharmaceutical competitors to the independent pharmacists. So it's an unfair disadvantage for our independent pharmacists. And I thought that we were going to bring that home, and we were down to the last committee meeting, and we timed out. And I'm not so sure we timed out or if somebody got to somebody, but we're going to get back into that again this next year. This is very important. This is what's causing, in my opinion, this is what's causing the cost of meds that we need to take, especially as an aging community, and we're a retirement center, to be so high. The money goes to the PBMs. The PBMs, for those that don't know it, are all now in the top 50 of the Fortune 500 companies in the United States. That's how wealthy they are. And as far as I'm concerned, they're making that money off the backs of our people that need these medicines. So we're gonna ramp that up again. The second thing that I thought was almost done, and it didn't make it either, so I'm not sure what's going on, is what's called fines and fees. In the state of Florida, when a judge assigns a fine or a fee to someone, let's say a traffic fine, or a small traffic fine, a parking violation, something like that, that doesn't get addressed, it can become a larger fine, and a $400 or $500 fine. And if you don't pay the fine, your license is suspended. Well, what's happening to us here in Florida, we have about 18 million driver's licenses in the state of Florida, of which 1.5 million to 2 million are being used in the suspended mode because people can't afford to pay that $400 to $500 per issue all at once. So our encouragement was, let's make it a mandate across the state that all clerks of court in all 67 counties will accept a payment program from these people. And as long as they make their payments every 30 days, they will be able to drive on that license, because they have to go to work. They have to provide for their families. And they're right now just taking the risk of going to work and not getting caught. Every day in Dade County alone, 98 people are picked up for various reasons and are found to be driving with a suspended license. So then it snowballs for them and they become what I call in debtor's prison. So the other issue that will blow your minds is that when we look at all the fines and fees that are adjudged throughout the entire state, 71% of them are never, ever collected, ever. And that's how the clerks of court's budget is based, as I'm told, is that what they collected last year is going to help them with their budget for next year. And if we can find a way to help these people drive safely, drive on a non-suspended license so they don't run into this issue, collect that 71% that we're now writing off, I think it's a win-win for everyone. And for some reason, a few people thought that it was the wrong way to go. So I'm going to bring it up again this next committee when we get back into committee and next session, and we'll see where this takes us. And I, of course, would be interested in anyone going to our website and weighing in on this and letting me know what their thoughts are. But to me, this looks like it should be a slam dunk, and it should make life a lot better for our Floridians. So those are a couple of things that that didn't get across. If I can also interject, Marcia, you know, one of my fellow senator in Brevard, Senator Mayfield, who's the appropriations chair for water quality, did a fantastic job this year. She, of course, she always does. I have a lot of respect for her. And she addressed the septic to sewer issues. She addressed the wastewater treatment facilities, penalties for pollution, and more. And she just encompassed every aspect of what we need to do for water quality. And as Coach P mentioned earlier, he's focused on Indian River Lagoon. We're all focused on Indian River Lagoon. It's a big part of our community, and it doesn't just affect Brevard. It affects us all. And it's a part of why people come to Florida, to see our beautiful waters, our clean waters, our beautiful state parks. And unfortunately, we've done this to ourselves, and it's taken us a long time to get this polluted. And now we're going to have to buckle down like we are with this coronavirus, and we're all in this together, as we say, work out a way to help convert a lot of these septic systems to be connected to sanitary sewer, and provide the funding that's necessary to clean up this water that we've contaminated. So with that, I'll let you take back over, please.
All right, and I think Coach P was able to join us by dialing in. Are you there, Coach?
I am here.
Yay! Okay, great. We're glad to have you back.
Yeah. Listen, I apologize. My phone died. I wasn't taking a look at it because I walked out to the front to have a quick conversation with one of our port commissioners who lives across the street from me.
Okay, all right, no worries. Well, we're happy to have you back. So while you were out, we just covered a few things with Senator Wright. And before we dive into the COVID-19 issue, is there anything that you had hoped to see happen this year, or hope to see get done that maybe didn't, that you're looking forward to trying to tackle next session?
That's a good question. First, I want to ask: is Representative Soroy going to be able to come on?
He is not. He's having carrier issues with wherever he is.
Okay.
So,
well, I did want to mention something that he was able to accomplish this year, which I think is very important. And since he's not here to talk about it, I want to share it with everyone.
Thank you.
So one of the things that we've been trying to do in the House to provide greater access and affordability for healthcare is allow pharmacists to be able to test and treat for the flu and strep in the pharmacies. Other states do it. Currently, you can administer shots at the pharmacy, and you can test for flu and strep, but you can't administer and dispense the drugs. And so this year, that bill was able to pass. It was Representative Soroy's bill. He did a remarkable job on it, and it's a big lift that he was able to carry and get done for the citizens of the state of Florida. So I just wanted to commend him on that and share that with you guys, because I think it's a pretty cool thing that he was able to do, and I think it's very important.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. As far as things I was not able to accomplish that I'd like to get accomplished, well, I'm going into my last 2 years, and there are a couple. There's a bill that deals with children who have disabilities, specifically children who are nonverbal and cannot communicate the way you and I necessarily do. And it's called seclusion and restraints. And what the bill would do would have much higher accountability on how schools, their policies, their training, and their accountability on how they handle children in our ESC departments, our students with exceptional or unique abilities. It's something very important to all parents who have a child who potentially could be nonverbal, and so it's something we've tried to accomplish over the years, but we haven't been able to get done. Other than that, my focus is still on trying to, one of the priorities that was given to me, or one of the jobs that was given to me by the speaker in this last 2 years, was to chair workforce and tourism. And in doing that, I learned quite a bit about the disruption and possible disruption of new technologies and artificial intelligence and robotics, and a lot of what a lot of our companies here in Brevard County are already doing. But we're going to see a lot more disruption to different markets and different industries. And so one of the roles of government is how to integrate these incredible technologies in a way that has the least amount of economic disruption for our economy and our communities. And so we worked a lot on that in my subcommittee. Hopefully the incoming Speaker of the House will give me some role in continuing to do that. But I'm excited at going into my last 2 years and seeing what we can accomplish, not just for Brevard County, but for the entire state.
Thanks. I'm going to take a question that'll sort of roll us into the coronavirus conversation. But one of our callers, or one of our participants, says we're hearing you guys may be called back to discuss budget. And so have you guys heard anything about a timeline? Or do you think that the governor will sign the current budget and then it'll be amended, or hold off, or do you think he's going to hold off on signing until you're able to reconvene?
You want me to answer, Senator Wright here?
Sure.
Okay, so I've just talked with our president today, Bill Galvano, the president of the Senate, and he indicated to me that we may not be coming back. And his words to me were, if we do come back, it will be just to tidy up some loose ends. But I think, and maybe it's already been addressed, but this coronavirus issue was already rearing its ugly head a week or so before we all left Tallahassee. So it was on the radar. And between the House and the Senate, we put away an immediate $52 million just for the coronavirus to help in the budget. And then we also salted away another $300 million, kind of in a, well, what if rainy day this really goes south on us or bad. So we have totally, without touching anything, $352 million if you will, in the bank available to offset some of the costs that we're going to be incurring from all of these test sites and other things we've needed to do. I'm fairly confident, unless something happens that we can't foresee further, but I'm fairly confident that we won't see any real changes to the budget. I'm hoping that we'll be able to just live with what we have, and this 352 million, if we need to dig into it, it's there ready for us to use.
All right, great. Thank you.
And Marcia, can I add a couple of things there?
Absolutely, please do. Would appreciate it.
Thank you. And I think Senator Wright's absolutely correct on that. And I think it's a great point he made, that in that last week of session that our two presiding officers got together and were forward thinking in trying to mitigate some of the problems, financial problems we may have, in addition to that $350 million we have over the last 6 to 8 years. We've been putting more and more money into reserves, to the point where we're at now, where we have over $3 billion in reserves just for a situation like this. And so, I reach out to Steve Crisafulli a lot. He's our former Speaker of the House from Brevard County. And I spoke with him last week, and I asked him what he thought was going to happen. And he said that he felt pretty confident that if our state shutdown stayed within 2 months, that we should be able to address it with the money that we have. If it goes any longer than 2 months, that's when we might start having problems. And so I think Senator Wright is correct. If we do go back, it's going to be to decide how we're going to spend either that $350 million or however many additional dollars we have to put into it from our reserves to kind of offset some of these costs.
Great, thank you. So talking about the state's response, and we've talked a little bit about the budget set aside that you've done, and I heard a comment, Senator Wright commented about the testing sites and those kinds of things. How are you feeling about the overall response of the state the government in particular to this? And is there anything in particular that you'd like to talk about? I'll start with you. I'll start with you.
You're starting with me, did you say? Senator Wright or Coach P?
I'll start with Coach P if is he there?
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
So I think one of the most difficult things to do is be able to respond to the onset of something of this magnitude. And I think it's very easy for us to be sitting at home and reading or watching television and kind of second guessing what our leaders are doing. Having said that, I think that our leaders are responding as quickly as they can. Nothing is perfect. We had issues, or we're having issues with our Department of Economic Opportunity website. Regardless of the state it was in prior to the COVID-19 virus, there's no website that could have handled the magnitude of volume that we were receiving. And as you can see all over the country, it's happening state by state. And so our governor taking quick action and redirecting both money and employees to the Department of Economic Opportunity, kind of thinking on the fly, working with his advisors, working with his agency heads. I think he's doing a great job under these very stressful circumstances. Taking into account his wife just had a baby as well. I mean, that's, you're worried about your health and the health of 22 billion people, and now you have your own children and a newborn coming in that you have to worry about as well. It's a very difficult situation to be in. I commend our governor's office for communicating with us every night, twice a day, actually, sometimes more than twice a day. We get a communication from them. And I know my office is sending that out to all the residents of District 50. But the transparency, the level of communication, the ability to make quick decisions and make decisions during this time period, I think is saving a lot of lives, and at the same time helping our economy be able to brace for the potential damage that could be done to it.
Great, thank you. All excellent points. Senator Wright, you have anything you'd like to add?
He did, of course, Coach P always does a fantastic job, and he covered it very well. I was going to bring up too, the governor and his wife during all of this, he was flying all over the state. If you watched any of the news, you saw that he was in South Florida, then Northwest Florida, and the Northeast Florida. Like, he must be flying on a rocket ship because he was all over the state. And then, yes, going home to your family, what have I brought home, And so I really do. I also commend him. He is working tirelessly. Everyone is working tirelessly. I made an example earlier today, and maybe it's not a good one, but I said, if the local ice cream store is giving away free ice cream cones today, there will certainly be someone in line who thinks they're not getting served fast enough. And unfortunately, this is such an unusual situation that we are getting those people that are emailing and calling our office wondering why they aren't getting faster service. And the Coach P touched on it. I mean, we have 22 million people, and 80% of our working class people are currently unemployed. So one of the things that we're doing, not that it's such a great idea on my part, Senator Stewart is already doing it. We are making available the forms that they can fill out by hand if they would like to, and we will mail them to their home. Anyone can go to our website and say, look, I want the form. I want the unemployment form. We will mail it to their home at our expense. We will include instructions how to fill it out. It's really a simple form. They do not need a PIN number like they do if they do it online. They do not need a PIN number for a handwritten form. And we will also include in there an envelope with the postage already on it, so they don't even have to leave their house. You get the form, fill it out, stick it back in the mail, and then they've got it going on. So for any of those people that are sick and tired of waiting on the computer system to get through, or, as I've mentioned to some of my staff, not everyone is as computer literate as some of my young staff is, and they may not want to be able to have to do it online. They might prefer to be able to do it the long way. So the long way might be even faster. I don't know, but that's there for anyone. You tell your friends and neighbors, anyone that's wanting to know how we can possibly make an application, they can email our address or our website, and we will send them. I don't care where they are in Florida. We will send it to them, and we'll pick up all the postage. make that happen.
Do you have any numbers about how many unemployment claims have been received so far? That was one of the questions in our chat.
We don't really have a number. You might have heard in the first week, the state of Florida averages 200 to 500 a week, and they had 31,000, applications. You just imagine the office staff is not set up. The whole thing was not set up for that type of invasion to get. And so, as you've heard also in the news, and I'm sure everyone knows, the state has purchased additional servers to try and handle the load, and yet we're still hearing that maybe it's not much faster. And so there's a few more servers that are coming, and they're going to be installed to try and make it a little bit faster. But there again, if someone is fed up and tired of waiting to get online and get their PIN number and get it, I will be happy to mail out the day they send us the email. We will send that form out that day. So assuming a day or two at the most, it'll be in their hands, and they fill it out that day, give it back to the post office, and it's on its way to the state, and it'll get crunched in by the people there.
Great, thank you. Coach P, anything else that you want to add about that?
Yeah, I saw a message from Jessica asking if the paper process would be any quicker. And I guess it depends if it's quicker or not. It depends if you can get on and get through the system without getting kicked out. It's kind of hit or miss. I've heard from constituents saying that they were unsuccessful the prior night, and then they got on early in the morning and they were able to get it processed. And the reason they're reaching out to us, and much like they're reaching out to Senator Wright and their House and Senate members from all over the state, is because our offices can help facilitate the process. So we typically get a claim ID number from the constituent. We get all their information. We forward it on to our contacts at Department of Economic Opportunity, and now they have an extra set of eyes kind of following along. It's always helpful when you're trying to go through a governmental process that you have elected officials who are accountable to the taxpayers that are also putting pressure on the different agencies. And so my answer to Jessica is she should do both. She should do the paper and pen process and try to go online and do it as well. I think she should also reach out to my office or Senator Wright's office for additional help. I would imagine it would be much, give her a little bit more peace of mind knowing that there's a dedicated office working on her behalf.
Sure, thank you. And I did also, I noticed in the chat function that CareerSource, Megan mentioned that CareerSource Brevard, all of their locations have printed forms located outside the offices, so it's easy to stop and pick one up if you're out and available. So we had a question about another stimulus package. I think that's more directed towards the federal stimulus package that's out there, and whether or not we'll see another round to come. But I'll take that opportunity to ask about the bridge loan program, because I know that that was also inundated at the start by small businesses across the state of Florida. So are you seeing allocations of additional funds coming that way, or what's the update on that?
This is Senator Wright. This morning, Senator Rubio was on one of the live television shows, and maybe you saw that, Marcia, that he says that probably as early as next week, they're going to go back and look at additional funding. I do know from talking to various bankers that according to most of the bankers, the forms that they were to use have changed a number of 6 times already in just a week and a half. So a little frustration on the local level. And I've actually looked at the requests, the applications, and they're quite detailed. In fact, I'm a little concerned myself. Some of the information that they're asking employers to disclose, I'm not so sure that the employers want to disclose some of that information, but they may have to go ahead and get the funding that they're looking for. It's quite involved. You will need a lot of backup material to support it. And the banks that are processing the loans, some of them, like here, our district office in the Port Orange area, small little community banks with 300 to 400 loan requests, and the information that they have to then get from the individual business is quite involved. So it's time consuming. It's not like going to the ATM and punching in a code and out comes a check. But anyway, I think a lot of us are in the legislature are hoping that the $1,200 checks start landing in our constituents' mailboxes pretty soon, because my prediction was earlier this week on Monday, the reality is probably really starting to set in quite strong. And a lot of people that are the so-called paycheck to paycheck people have probably got nothing left in their wallet but dust. And, the first of the month came and the rent was due and other things were due and the groceries are low. And this is a serious situation. So we like Coach P and all of us, I was mentioning to one of my staffs earlier this morning, people may not think about it, but we have 40 senators. We have 120 House representatives. So there's 160 of us in the legislature that are all wanting to do everything we possibly can for our constituents. But what happens is we're all funneling down to Tallahassee saying, hey, help me, I have a person that needs help. And so the numbers are still there. The numbers are staggering, the number of people that we're all trying to help. And hopefully together we are all going to get through this and make it happen.
Thank you, Senator. Coach P? Did we lose him, or is he there?
Oh, I'm here. I think I hit the button too many times too fast. I think Senator Wright did a phenomenal job of answering that question. I don't think there's anything more I could add that would be helpful.
But with regard specifically to the state fund, because the state bridge loan is a specific program that's independent of the programs funneling through the federal government and SBA. From what I've heard, I believe that program is expended at this point. If they funded everybody that applied, they don't have enough. There weren't enough dollars set aside. Do you think that there'll be some shifting to open up more funds, or do you think that was the cap?
Hey, Marcia. So I could not answer that question at the moment. That's something that I'd have to consult either with the majority leader, the speaker designate, or even the governor's office. I'm sure they're having that discussion right now, and that's probably potentially either the governor can make that decision, or potentially that might be something that we would have to address as far as reshuffling the dollars if we do decide to go, or if they do decide to bring us back for special session.
Okay, great, thank you. But I think the great news in all of it that you guys both pointed out so eloquently in the beginning is that the state has set aside a significant amount of funding to be able to address things. So there is some flexibility in there. So I appreciate that.
If I may interject, Marcia, we have also $4 billion set aside in the unemployment compensation budget. So that's another area that we can use to help. And what I'm going to say next is from what I have read and seen, I have not been told this by the state, but it looks like when we look at these huge $6 trillion program that we're looking at from the feds, it seems to me there's $13 billion earmarked just for the state of Florida, just to help out the state of Florida with these unusual and unordinary costs. So I believe that some of the funding will be repaid to the state from the federal government also to help give us a leg up.
Great point. And I'm gonna wrap it up by asking this last question, I think, and that is, from your perspective, what advice would you give specifically to employers right now who are struggling with the likelihood, the livelihood of their employees, the amount of revenue that's coming in because of these changes and restrictions that have been recommended by the CDC and others? What advice would you give? I know, Senator Wright, you're a businessman. Coach P, you've been right there alongside of us for a long time. So I will ask you guys each for just your individual thoughts related to that. Coach P, you want to start?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it. The one thing I would say is don't lose hope. This is a difficult process we're going through right now, but it may end quickly. I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a scientist, but I am reading extensively on the life of viruses, and this virus in particular, and looking at all the data that comes in every single night from the amount of people who have been infected all over our state. And so we're hoping this ends soon. We've seen over the last couple of days a plateau in our numbers, and that could mean, it could signal that the COVID-19 virus has plateaued in the state of Florida and could soon be going on the downward trajectory. Some of the other models have it at April 21st or 22nd now, where it would reach its peak and then soon be going down. And I believe as it starts going down, that's when you'll see a lot more businesses opening up. Obviously, that's a decision that the governor will have to make. But in the short time, don't give up. Don't lose hope. And I was on a call yesterday with the Indian American Chamber of Commerce, and one of the things we know about Americans and American businesses throughout the decades is that we're resilient, that we're creative, and out of every situation, there's a creative way of creating a new business plan, a new business model, or just a different way of doing business in the existing business. But look for ways of growing or potential growth through what we're going through and through what our world will look like afterwards.
That's great advice.
So, Marcia, I echo exactly what Coach P said. Very good advice. You're exactly right. And I don't want to be negative on the bridge loan program. I probably was. If you're an employer that needs that help, it is there for you. It is a little involved. And if you're not able to do it, whoever's doing your tax return can easily do it. He's talking.
We can't hear you, Marcia.
Marcia, we can't hear you.
Marcia, we cannot hear you.
Hey guys, this is Erin. I am just jumping in for Marcia while she's having some technical difficulties. Just give her just a moment and let's see if we can get her back.
I don't think she realizes that she's not on. She's not. She's talking away.
Now she's going to have to do it all over.
Marcia has all of us on mute, so that's why she can't hear us.
Hi guys, this is Erin again. I'm not quite sure why we're not hearing Marcia, but I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm trying to get through to her to let her know that we cannot hear her. I'd like to thank the Senator and Coach P for joining us. We really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day. And it looks like we've caught her attention, so hopefully she's coming back with us.
There she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, now we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, now you can hear me. Great.
Again.
Okay, so I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank our presenters. I was saying that Coach P and Tyler both have small children at home, so juggling all of that as we're all trying to do makes it challenging sometimes. So we appreciate the effort, and of course, Senator, we appreciate you being here with us. And I want to thank all of you. Senator, I lost you before I asked that last question, which was what advice would you have to our small businesses?
Okay, do you have me now?
I got you.
Okay. Well, I wanted to just restate, in the bridge loan process, if you're a small business, it is there for you. Certainly do apply for it. It's a little involved. And if you have someone that actually does your tax returns, they can make it simple for you. If you try to do it on your own, it might be a little overwhelming. So a lot of the small businesses in my district that have contacted us, we're helping them walk through it. And the banks supposedly have the final version now and are taking those versions along with the backup information that's requested and start the process. So it's there for us. Again, I mentioned that the feds, I believe, are going to support each and every state. And I think they've got earmarked for Florida something like $13 billion already. That'll be coming from this $6 trillion program that the federal government's working on. So we'll have funding for that. As far as a business owner, it's just one of those times where you have to figure out what is really absolutely necessary. And sometimes that's a tough decision. Perhaps if you're a business owner and a small business owner, it might be time not to pay yourself for a month or two if you can possibly do it. And that's a tough thing for people to realize. But one of the things that I've said so many times, and I think it's actually been brought up today, we are all in this together. I have not found anybody who's really not affected by what's going on. We are all in this together. We have to stay safe. And now, as Coach P mentioned, there is some bright glimmer, and I think he's correct on the horizon that maybe we are starting to see the curve to flatten, and we might see this thing going to be done sooner than later. But at the same time, do not let that be a reason to go out and start thinking that, hey, things are looking better, or we're going to jump right back into where we were. So it's not time yet to let our guard down, but it is time to stay positive, stay home, do your best to make ends meet, contact our office if there's something. I mean, we've actually had people call to say we need help with diapers, and we'll find organizations that can help with those things. So there's certainly a need out there, and between all of us legislators, oftentimes we know who we can contact to help you with various needs. So I encourage everyone, if they can, email us, go to our email address, which is easy to find. And I think it's on this, I had Eli put it on here, so it's apparently posted. And let us know what your issues are and we will try. But I do want to say that the large number of phone calls we're getting, we're not able to return every one of those calls in the same day because we're getting so many calls. Emails are better so that we can address them. We can work on them at nights. We can work on them on the weekends, and we can get you answers. We can get you help. So again, as a small business owner myself, we have not laid anybody off. We're keeping them busy. Sometimes it's the best time to clean house, repaint, wash the floors, and get caught up on some of those things that we've been putting off and keeping everyone employed. So I've been fortunate that we've been able to do that in our business.
Thank you, Senator. And we will, again, as I said, send out a follow-up email that has all of your district office contact information in it to make it easier for everybody. I think I'm better at staying on time when we're in person because I ran over with our luncheon today, and I'm usually a stickler for time, but I think it was great information, important discussion and conversation, and I thank each and every one of you for participating with us. Again, if we can do anything for you from the chamber perspective, please don't hesitate to let us know. And I'll make sure that you have a link to the recording, the replay, after it processes and becomes available. So with that, we'll adjourn. You guys have a great afternoon and stay safe.
You too. Thank you so much.